All throughout life, every story that my mom has told about Crab Orchard has been centered around knowing where the quote unquote old bank was. I'll be 44 years old in September. I'd say 44 times 4, so what's that, 102 much. Mom has told me a story with specific instructions of where the old bank was. And if you were to take me right there, I couldn't tell you where it is right now. One time, hold on. One time she told me, she said, well, it wasn't even a bank when she was young, which complicated it a bit. I tell you that because Dad led that song and he said, oh, we used to sing it all out at Lancaster. And Will said, a lot of us didn't go to church at Lancaster. It's like, that's a pretty good point there as well. So every now and then, sometimes we tell our frames of reference don't always work. But I guarantee you tonight, if you want to know a story about Crab Orchard, Mom can tie it to the old bank somewhere. While she's telling that, I'm going to go get in the truck because I don't have a clue. We were together on Wednesday night. No, that's not true. Since we've been in this class setting together, Jack taught last week to wrap up his series of lessons. And then a couple weeks before that, we had some tennis matches. And they're about over, but hopefully we'll be able to continue with this. Where's the clicker? There it is. So you may not remember. I'll be honest with you. I had to kind of look it over myself as well. But we've been talking about what we refer to in the Bible as the wisdom literature. We had talked, I believe, about Job. And then we've had a handful of lessons on Psalms. And then we'll have a couple more as we wrap our way through this over the next handful of weeks about Proverbs and Ecclesiastes. And I think we'll finish with a little lesson in the Song of Solomon or the Song of Songs. But just as a reminder, because I'm guessing if I hadn't thought about it in a couple of weeks, you've probably not thought about it too much either. But we said that the book of Psalms is a collection of Hebrew religious hymns. And we'll use the word hymns in the sense that we would use it, a set of words placed on paper with a melody that we would sing along to. And that's what those were as well. And we've talked about Psalms of praise, Psalms of guidance, Psalms about the Messiah or about Jesus, Psalms of instruction. And tonight we're going to talk about Psalms of nature. And we'll use the word nature there a little differently because it's not, you might be thinking, well, I love trees and rivers, and that's part of it. But sort of nature in creation, nature in humans perhaps as well. So we're going to look at three different Psalms. We'll start with number 19 if you want to be turning to it. Psalm 19, Psalm 33, and I believe Psalm 8 will be the three that we look at tonight. So without, I guess, any further ado, we'll read Psalm 119. Boo, do you care to read this? There's 3 or 4 slides, I think. But My Bible at the top of Psalm 19 says, the perfect revelation of the Lord. And I want to talk briefly just about those words that are not in the scripture, but just that are there on the title. How would you describe perfection? Without flaw or blemish. Complete. Anybody else got a nothing lacking? I was reading something here the other day that said there was a guy that had hit the other night, hit 4 home runs in a Major League Baseball game. He was the 14th player in the history of Major League Baseball to do it. They said that is something that doesn't get talked about very much, but a perfect game, and those of you that aren't baseball fans won't know this, but a perfect game means a pitcher gets every single batter out. Nobody gets a hit. Nobody gets a walk. It literally is a perfect game. There's only been 18 of those since 1890 or whatever it was. The point of it being is it's called a perfect game because it is almost impossible. Years ago, not that many years ago, but there was a guy that pitched for Detroit, and he was 1 out away from a perfect game. And they hit a ball to the first baseman, and he ran to first. The guy throws it to him. He catches it. He steps on the base. Umpire called him safe. Cost him the out. Cost him the perfect game.